The rejected bride's silent revenge. Welcome to Heart's Obsession. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more romantic and revenge stories. Part 1: The Shattered Wedding. The perfect day turned nightmare. The morning sun painted the grand cathedral in golden light, making the stained glass windows shimmer like precious jewels. Elena stood in the bridal suite, her heart racing with excitement as she gazed at her reflection. The white silk gown hugged her figure perfectly, with delicate lace trailing down to the marble floor. Her dark hair was swept into an elegant updo, crowned with a diamond tiara that had belonged to her grandmother. She looked like a princess from a fairy tale, ready to marry her prince. "You look absolutely stunning," her mother whispered, tears glistening in her eyes as she adjusted Elena's veil. "Marcus is the luckiest man alive." Elena smiled, thinking about Marcus Thornfield, the brilliant billionaire who had swept her off her feet 6 months ago. He was everything she had ever dreamed of: handsome, successful, charming, and attentive. When he proposed on a private yacht under the stars, she had said yes without hesitation. Their wedding was the talk of the city, with 500 guests, the finest flowers money could buy, and a reception at the most exclusive hotel. 5 minutes, Miss Elena, the wedding coordinator announced, peeking through the door. "The groom is ready, and all the guests are seated." Elena took a deep breath, clutching her bouquet of white roses and peonies. This was it. The moment she had been planning for months. The beginning of her forever. As she walked down the hallway toward the cathedral doors, she noticed her twin sister Victoria wasn't in the bridal party lineup. Strange. Victoria had been her maid of honor, involved in every detail of the wedding planning. Where could she be? The doors opened to betrayal. The orchestra began playing the wedding march. The massive cathedral doors swung open, revealing hundreds of faces turned toward her. Elena stepped forward, her eyes searching for Marcus at the altar. He stood there in his tailored black tuxedo, looking devastatingly handsome. But something was wrong. His expression wasn't filled with love or anticipation. Instead, he wore a cold, calculated smile that sent ice through her veins. Then she saw her. Victoria stood beside Marcus at the altar, wearing an identical wedding gown. Her twin sister, her best friend, her other half, stood in Elena's place, holding Marcus's hand. Elena froze mid-step, her bouquet trembling in her hands. Confused whispers rippled through the crowd like wildfire. Her mother gasped behind her. Her father's face turned crimson with rage. "What is this?" Elena's voice cracked as she forced her feet to move forward. "Marcus, what's happening?" Marcus stepped forward, his voice projecting clearly across the silent cathedral. "Elena, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but Victoria and I are in love. We've been together for the past 3 months. She's the woman I'm meant to marry, not you." The words hit Elena like physical blows. The cathedral started spinning around her. 3 months? That meant while she was planning their wedding, choosing flowers, tasting cakes, picking out bridesmaid dresses, he was with her sister? Victoria? Elena's eyes pleaded with her twin. "Tell me this isn't true. Tell me this is some horrible joke." Victoria had the decency to look down, but when she raised her eyes, there was triumph mixed with guilt. "I'm sorry, Elena. I never meant for it to happen. But Marcus and we just connected on a deeper level. What you two had was surface attraction. What we have is real love." The cruel truth unveiled. Elena felt her knees weaken, but pride kept her standing. Around her, guests were standing, some shouting, others recording everything on their phones. This humiliation would be everywhere by tonight: social media, news outlets, gossip columns. She would be known as the bride who was replaced by her own sister. "You're lying," Elena whispered, though deep down, pieces were clicking into place. All those times Victoria volunteered to meet with Marcus about wedding details. The way Victoria always came back from those meetings glowing. The secretive phone calls. How could she have been so blind? Marcus stepped closer, and Elena saw something cruel flash in his eyes. Elena, you were always so sweet, so innocent, so trusting. That made you easy to be with, but let's be honest, you were never challenging enough for me. Victoria has fire, ambition, passion. She matches me in ways you never could. Each word was a knife twisting in her heart. The man she loved, the man she had given everything to, was telling her she wasn't good enough. In front of everyone she knew. I gave you everything, Elena's voice grew stronger, fueled by rising anger. I trusted you. I loved you with all my heart. And this is how you repay me? By humiliating me in front of 500 people? Consider it a lesson, Marcus said coldly. In business and in love, only the strong survive. You're too soft, Elena. Too naive. Victoria understood what it takes to be with a man like me. Elena's father rushed forward, his face purple with rage. You bastard. I'll destroy you for this. I'll sue you for breach of contract, emotional distress. Try it, Marcus interrupted calmly. I have the best lawyers money can buy. Besides, check the prenuptial agreement. There's a clause that releases both parties from obligation if the wedding doesn't happen. No ceremony, no breach. He smiled. I made sure to cover all my bases. The mysterious observer. Elena pulled off her engagement ring and threw it at Marcus's feet. The diamond sparkled mockingly as it bounced across the marble floor. You can both go to hell, she said, her voice breaking. I hope you're happy together. She gathered her dress and ran down the aisle, tears streaming down her face. The guests parted like the Red Sea, their faces showing pity, shock, and morbid curiosity. Her mother called after her, but Elena couldn't stop. She needed to get out, to breathe, to escape this nightmare. Elena burst through the cathedral's side door into the bright sunlight. She stumbled down the stone steps, her vision blurred by tears, her breath coming in painful gasps. The beautiful spring day mocked her misery. Birds sang, flowers bloomed, and her entire world had just collapsed. Careful. These steps are treacherous in a gown like that. Elena looked up to find a man standing at the bottom of the steps. He was tall and dark-haired, dressed in an expensive charcoal suit that screamed wealth and power. But what struck her most were his eyes, intense, intelligent, and filled with something she couldn't quite identify. Anger? Understanding? Interest? Who are you? She asked, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. Dante Moretti, he replied, offering her a steadying hand as she reached the last step. I was invited to witness what was supposed to be the wedding of the century. Instead, I witnessed the betrayal of the century. Elena recognized the name immediately. Dante Moretti was Marcus's biggest business rival, a self-made billionaire who had built his empire from nothing. The two men hated each other with a passion that was legendary in business circles. What was he doing at Marcus's wedding? Marcus invited you? Elena asked in disbelief. He wanted to show off his trophy wife, Dante said with a slight smile. Wanted to prove he had everything, the perfect woman, the perfect life. Looks like his plan backfired spectacularly. Fresh tears threatened to fall, but Elena blinked them back. She wouldn't cry anymore. Not here. Not in front of a stranger, even one as intriguing as Dante Moretti. I need to go, she said, starting to walk away. Wait. Dante's voice stopped her. I have a proposition for you. Elena turned, surprised. A proposition? My wedding just fell apart in the most public way possible, and you want to talk business? Not business, Dante corrected. Revenge. The devil's bargain. The word hung in the air between them like a living thing. Revenge. It was dark, tempting, and exactly what the broken part of Elena's heart craved. What do you mean? She asked carefully. Dante moved closer, his voice low and intense. Marcus Thornfield has been a thorn in my side for years. He's stolen contracts, sabotaged deals, and spread lies about my company. I've been looking for a way to take him down, but he's careful. He never leaves himself exposed. He paused, his dark eyes studying her. Until now. You know him, Elena. You know his weaknesses, his secrets, his vulnerabilities. With your inside knowledge and my resources, we could destroy him. Why would you help me? Elena asked, even as part of her was already considering his offer. Because we both want the same thing, to see Marcus Thornfield lose everything he values. His company, his reputation, his precious control. Plus, Dante added with a slight smile, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. What happened to you today was cruel and calculated. Marcus planned this humiliation carefully. Don't you want to show him that underestimating you was his biggest mistake? Elena's mind raced. The rational part of her said to walk away, to grieve and heal and move on with dignity. But the hurt, angry part, the part that had been publicly betrayed and humiliated, wanted justice. Wanted Marcus to feel even a fraction of the pain he'd caused her. What would this partnership involve, she asked. You work with me. I'll give you a position in my company, teach you everything about the business world that Marcus probably kept from you. We'll use your knowledge of his operations to outmaneuver him at every turn. And when the time is right, we'll execute a plan that will bring his empire crashing down. And Victoria? Elena asked, thinking of her twin sister's betrayal. She made her choice, Dante said simply. She chose a man over her own sister. Let her live with the consequences. But Elena, I need to know, are you strong enough for this? Revenge isn't pretty. It requires patience, cunning, and the willingness to become someone Marcus never expected you to be. Elena thought about Marcus's cruel words. Too soft. Too naive. Too weak. She thought about Victoria's triumphant smile as she stood at the altar in Elena's place. She thought about 500 witnesses to her humiliation, their cameras capturing every moment of her devastation. I'm strong enough, Elena said firmly. Teach me. Help me. And Marcus Thornfield will regret the day he underestimated Elena Carson. Dante extended his hand. Then we have a deal. Welcome to the dark side, Elena. I promise you, by the time we're done, Marcus won't know what hit him. Elena shook his hand, feeling the warmth and strength in his grip. As she did, something shifted inside her. The heartbroken bride began to fade, replaced by something harder, sharper, more determined. Marcus wanted Victoria because she had fire and ambition? Fine. Elena would show him fire. She would show them both what happened when you pushed a gentle soul too far. As Dante led her to his waiting car, Elena looked back at the cathedral one last time. Her fairy tale ending had died there today. But maybe, just maybe, something stronger would rise from its ashes. The game was on. And Marcus Thornfield had no idea he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life. Part 2, The Queen's Rise. 6 months of transformation. The woman who stepped out of the sleek black car in front of Moretti Industries headquarters bore little resemblance to the broken bride who had fled the cathedral 6 months ago. Elena's dark hair was cut in a sharp, sophisticated bob that framed her face perfectly. She wore a blood-red power suit with razor-sharp tailoring, black stilettos that added 3 inches to her height, and carried herself with the confidence of someone who had conquered her demons and emerged victorious. Good morning, Miss Carson, the doorman greeted her with a respectful nod. Good morning, Thomas, Elena replied with a smile, striding through the gleaming lobby of the 60-story building that had become her second home. The past 6 months had been the hardest and most rewarding of Elena's life. Dante had been true to his word. He'd given her a position as his strategic advisor and personally mentored her in the cutthroat world of corporate warfare. She'd worked 16-hour days, studying market analysis, contract law, negotiation tactics, and the subtle art of corporate espionage. She'd shed her innocent naivety like a snake shedding old skin, replacing it with sharp intelligence and calculated moves. But more than that, she'd discovered a part of herself she never knew existed. Elena had always been the nice twin, the accommodating one, the peacekeeper. Now, she was discovering she had a mind for business that rivaled even Dante's. She saw patterns others missed, anticipated moves before they happened, and had a gift for reading people that made her invaluable in negotiations. "Elena, do you have the Westfield files?" Dante's voice came through her phone's intercom as she entered the executive floor. "Already on your desk," she replied, walking past her own corner office toward his. "Along with the vulnerability assessment you requested. Marcus is overextended on the Riverside development. He's borrowed heavily against future profits. If that project fails, it could trigger a cascade effect." She entered Dante's office, a massive space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Dante stood by the window, his back to her, tension visible in his shoulders. "You found something," Elena said, recognizing the signs. He turned to face her, and she caught her breath. Even after 6 months of working closely together, Dante Moretti still had the power to make her pulse quicken. It wasn't just his looks, though with those dark eyes, strong jaw, and powerful build, he was certainly attractive. It was his intensity, his brilliant mind, the way he saw her as an equal partner rather than a delicate flower to be protected. "Marcus is meeting with the Riverside investors tomorrow," Dante said. "He's going to present the project timeline and projected profits. If those numbers look solid, they'll release the next round of funding." Elena's mind started working immediately. But what if the numbers don't look solid? What if the investors discover the project is already behind schedule and over budget? "Exactly," Dante smiled, the expression predatory. "Care to take the lead on this one? The first real strike." Elena spent the next 18 hours preparing. She'd learned patience from Dante, the importance of timing, of having every piece in place before making a move. Revenge wasn't about wild, emotional outbursts. It was about calculated strikes that left your opponent reeling while you remained untouchable. Through a contact she'd cultivated in Marcus's company, a disgruntled project manager who felt undervalued, Elena obtained copies of the real Riverside development reports. The numbers Marcus planned to show investors were fantasy. The project was 3 months behind schedule, $20 million over budget, and facing serious structural issues that could delay completion by another year. But simply sending the real numbers to investors would be too obvious. Instead, Elena crafted something more elegant. She arranged for a respected industry analyst, someone with no connection to Moretti Industries, to publish a detailed investigation into the Riverside project. The article raised questions, highlighted concerns, and suggested investors do their due diligence before committing more funds. The article went live the morning of Marcus's investor meeting. Elena sat in her office, watching the news feeds on her multiple monitors. By 10 a.m., the article had been picked up by major business outlets. By noon, 3 of Marcus's major investors had pulled out of the meeting, requesting additional time to review the project independently. By 3 p.m., the Riverside development was trending on financial news sites, with analysts questioning Marcus Thornfield's judgment and transparency. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dante, "Brilliant work. Celebration dinner tonight?" Elena smiled, but before she could respond, her office phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and froze. Victoria. Her twin sister had tried calling dozens of times over the past 6 months. Elena had ignored every attempt. What could Victoria possibly say that would matter now? But curiosity got the better of her. She picked up. "Hello, Victoria." There was a pause, then her sister's voice came through, strained and tearful. "Elena. Thank God you answered. I need to talk to you. Please, can we meet?" "I have nothing to say to you," Elena replied coolly. "Please," Victoria begged, and Elena heard genuine desperation in her voice. "I was wrong. About everything. Marcus, the wedding, it was the biggest mistake of my life. I need your help." Sister's confession. Against her better judgment, Elena agreed to meet Victoria at a small, private cafe far from their usual social circles. When her twin sister walked in, Elena barely recognized her. Victoria had always been the more glamorous twin, the one who commanded attention when they entered a room. Now, she looked exhausted and defeated. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, her designer clothes hung loosely on her frame as if she'd lost weight, and her hair lacked its usual glossy shine. "Thank you for coming," Victoria said quietly, sliding into the booth across from Elena. "You have 15 minutes, Elena replied, checking her watch. She refused to feel sympathy. This woman had betrayed her in the worst possible way. Victoria's hands shook as she clutched her coffee cup. "Everything you thought about Marcus and me, it was all true, and worse. I betrayed you for nothing, Elena. For absolutely nothing." "What did you expect?" Elena asked coldly. "That a man who would humiliate his fiancée on their wedding day would treat you like a princess?" "I was so stupid," Victoria whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Marcus told me I was special, that you were sweet, but I was exciting. He made me feel like I was winning some great prize by stealing him from you. But the moment we were married, everything changed." Elena listened silently as Victoria detailed her nightmare marriage. Marcus had been charming during their affair, but once Victoria became his wife, he revealed his true nature. He was controlling, cruel, and dismissive. He criticized everything she did, compared her constantly to other women, and made it clear she was just another possession in his collection. He'd even started having affairs within months of their marriage. "Last week," Victoria continued, her voice breaking, "he told me that I wasn't even his first choice. That he only married me to hurt you, to prove he could take everything you loved and destroy it. He said watching your face at the wedding was worth more than anything I could offer him." The revelation hit Elena like a physical blow. Marcus hadn't fallen in love with Victoria. He'd orchestrated the entire betrayal specifically to cause Elena maximum pain. It was even more calculated and cruel than she'd imagined. "Why are you telling me this?" Elena asked, her voice tight. "Because you deserved better," Victoria sobbed. "Because I was a terrible sister and an even worse person. And because I need you to know that karma is real. I betrayed you for a man who never loved either of us. I destroyed our relationship for nothing. And now I'm trapped in a marriage that's killing me slowly. Why don't you leave him?" Elena asked. "The prenup," Victoria said bitterly. "I signed away everything. If I file for divorce, I get nothing. Marcus made sure I'm financially dependent on him. And he's threatened that if I try to leave, he'll destroy my reputation completely. He has photos, videos, evidence of things he convinced me to do. He'll paint me as unstable, a gold digger, a manipulator." Elena studied her sister's devastated face and felt something unexpected, not forgiveness, but understanding. Victoria had been manipulated too. Marcus had used both sisters like pawns in his twisted game. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you," Elena said slowly. "What you did hurt me more than you can imagine. You weren't just my sister, you were my best friend. My other half. And you betrayed that for a man." "I know," Victoria whispered. "I don't deserve your forgiveness. But Elena, I need to warn you. Marcus has been acting strange lately. He's obsessed with you. He keeps talking about how you've changed, how you're working for his enemy. He's planning something. I don't know what, but please be careful." Unexpected feelings. That evening, Elena met Dante at an exclusive restaurant overlooking the city. She'd told him about Victoria's warning, and now they sat in a private corner booth, discussing strategy. "Marcus knows you're working with me," Dante said thoughtfully. "It was inevitable. The question is, what will he do about it?" "Victoria said he's obsessed," Elena replied, swirling the wine in her glass. "That doesn't sound like Marcus. He discards people once they're no longer useful. Why would he care what I'm doing now?" "Because you're not following the script," Dante explained. "You were supposed to be destroyed by what he did. Instead, you've become powerful. You're threatening his empire. Men like Marcus can't stand being outsmarted, especially by someone they considered beneath them." Elena looked at Dante across the table, studying his face in the candlelight. Over the past 6 months, he'd become more than her mentor or business partner. He was the person she trusted most in the world, the one who saw her strengths instead of her weaknesses. But lately, she'd started noticing other things, the way her heart sped up when he entered a room, how his rare smiles could brighten her entire day, the electricity that sparked whenever they accidentally touched. "Why did you really help me?" she asked suddenly. "You said it was about taking down Marcus, but you could have done that without me. Why go through all this trouble?" Dante was quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes unreadable. "Do you remember what I said that day at the cathedral? That I'd been invited to witness the wedding of the century?" Elena nodded. "That was a lie," Dante admitted. "I crashed your wedding, Elena. I wasn't invited. I came because I needed to see you marry him." "What? Why would you?" "Because I'd been watching you for months," Dante interrupted, his voice rough with emotion. "I'd seen you at charity events, business functions, always by Marcus's side looking beautiful and kind and completely out of place with that bastard. And I kept thinking, she deserves better. She deserves someone who sees how extraordinary she is." Elena's breath caught in her throat. "When I heard about the wedding, I told myself I'd go, see you happy with him, and finally get over this impossible attraction. Instead, I watched you get your heart broken in the cruelest way possible. And when you came down those cathedral steps with tears streaming down your face, all I could think was, I'll destroy him for this. I'll give her everything she needs to heal and become strong, and then maybe she'll look at me the way she once looked at him." "Dante," Elena whispered, her mind reeling. He reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I fell in love with you that day, Elena. Before I even spoke to you. These past 6 months, working beside you, watching you transform into this incredible force of nature, I've fallen deeper every single day. But I know you might not feel the same. I know revenge has been your focus. I would never pressure you or expect anything in return for helping you. I just needed you to know the truth." Elena's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She thought about the past 6 months, about how Dante had believed in her when she didn't believe in herself, how he'd challenged her to be stronger while never making her feel inadequate. She thought about how safe she felt with him, how alive, how seen in ways Marcus had never truly seen her. "I was so afraid of this," she admitted. "Afraid of feeling anything for anyone after what Marcus did. Afraid that working with you was just transference, replacing one man with another. But Dante, this past month especially, I've realized something. When I think about the future, about life after we take down Marcus, you're in every vision. You're the person I want to celebrate victories with and share quiet mornings with. You make me want to be brave enough to risk my heart again." Dante's grip on her hand tightened. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying I think I'm falling in love with you too," Elena whispered. "And it terrifies me and thrills me in equal measure." The kiss that followed was inevitable, perfect, and filled with 6 months of building tension. When they finally pulled apart, Elena felt breathless and alive in ways she'd never experienced with Marcus. "We're going to finish this together," Dante said firmly. "We're going to take down Marcus, free you from his shadow, and then we're going to see where this goes. No secrets, no games, just honesty and partnership." "Partners," Elena agreed, smiling. "In business and in everything else." But as they left the restaurant that night, Elena couldn't shake Victoria's warning. Marcus was planning something. And Elena had learned enough in the past 6 months to know that cornered predators were the most dangerous kind. Whatever Marcus had planned, they needed to be ready. Part 3, Love and Redemption. The Empire Falls. The dominoes started falling faster than even Elena anticipated. With the Riverside project in chaos, Marcus's investors began scrutinizing all his ventures more carefully. What they found was troubling, a pattern of inflated projections, hidden debts, and risky financial maneuvers that bordered on illegal. Elena sat in Moretti Industries' war room, surrounded by monitors displaying real-time financial data on Marcus's crumbling empire. Dante stood beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder as they watched the stock price of Thornfield Corporation plummet. The Securities and Exchange Commission has opened an investigation, Dante's CFO announced, entering the room with a tablet. They're looking into accounting irregularities. If they find what we think they'll find, Marcus could face criminal charges. Elena felt a complex mixture of emotions. Satisfaction at seeing Marcus finally face consequences. Regret for the person she'd had to become to make this happen. And underneath it all, a growing certainty that revenge, while sweet, wasn't actually healing the wounds in her heart. The board is calling for his resignation, the CFO continued. They want him out before the scandal gets worse. It's done then, Elena said quietly. Marcus Thornfield is finished. But Dante was frowning at his phone. We have a problem. Security just called. Marcus forced his way into the building. He's demanding to see you, Elena. He's in the lobby refusing to leave. Elena's stomach clenched. She'd known this confrontation was coming, but she'd hoped to face Marcus on her own terms, not in a public lobby with security guards watching. I'll call the police, Dante said immediately. No, Elena stood, straightening her jacket. Let him up. It's time we ended this face to face. Elena, he could be dangerous. Then you'll be right here with me, Elena replied, taking his hand. But I need to do this, Dante. I need to look him in the eye and show him that he didn't break me. That I'm stronger than he ever gave me credit for. The final confrontation. Marcus Thornfield looked like a ghost of the man who had humiliated Elena at the altar 6 months ago. His suit was wrinkled, his face was haggard, and his eyes had a wild, desperate quality that made Elena take an instinctive step back when he entered the conference room. You did this, Marcus snarled, pointing an accusatory finger at Elena. You destroyed everything I built. My company, my reputation, my life, all because you couldn't accept that I chose Victoria over you. No, Elena said calmly, though her heart was racing. You destroyed yourself, Marcus. I just made sure people saw what you really were beneath the charm and expensive suits. A cruel, manipulative man who uses people and throws them away. I made you, Marcus shouted, moving closer. Dante immediately stepped between them, his presence a protective barrier. You were nothing before me.